So, for those of you who want to get the extended collector's edition of Avatar, there are three discs, and discs one and two contain half of whichever movie version you want. Meaning, disc one has the first hour and a half of like the original theatrical release, and then disc two has the other 80 minutes. So basically, cut in half over two discs. Some of you might find that a little annoying. Some of you might like the break in right in the middle of the movie where you can like come back to it at a later time. Point is, just a little heads up if you want to get this collector's edition. So Avatar, let's talk about it. Avatar came out in 2009, and it's brought to us by legendary filmmaker James Cameron, who you know from Terminator, Terminator 2, and Aliens, and also Titanic. Avatar is a story of the human race has faced an energy crisis where they're now trying to get resources from other planets, and a mining company, with the assistance of some Marines, have come across the planet of Pandora, where they discovered a resource they want to get. But in order to do so, they have to interact with the natives in a more peaceful way, at first anyway. And so they get a Marine named Jake Sully to use an avatar of one of the natives' bodies, the Na'vi, to interact, become one of them, and at the climax of the film, Jake Sully ends up taking the Na'vi side and fights against his own people in a big conflict battle. Avatar has had a interesting impact on pop culture, in that it has had an impact while also not having one. The impact stems around the positives of the movie, the visuals, the world building, the designs. It's all freaking fantastic. James Cameron had wanted to make this film for a long time, years and years, but he wanted to wait until technology could get up to a point where he felt like it could realistically bring his vision to the big screen. And it paid off big time. You take a shot from this movie without any of the characters, human or alien, show it to someone, they can instantly tell it's from Pandora, the movie Avatar. And the creatures, the alien creatures, they're all creative, imaginative, colorful, interesting to look at. There is a lot to be amazed by in terms of visual spectacle. And the alien species, the Na'vi, are pretty interesting as well in terms of their culture, their design. Still don't quite understand the whole ponytail thing, but there's a lot to dissect in terms of that. So, when it comes to that kind of stuff of the film, it's had a big impact. It probably helped pave the way for a lot of other CGI characters to be brought to life convincingly, such as Thanos from Infinity War and Endgame. Now let's get to the stuff that really hasn't had much of an impact. That concerns some of the characters and the overall story. So back in 1994, James Cameron wrote an 80-page treatment for his movie, and he was inspired by every science fiction book he ever read as a child, as well as a bunch of other adventure stories as well. Also, right in 1994, that was a time period where there were a lot of pro-environmental message movies being made. Not saying pro-environment is bad, but oftentimes, and by often I mean 99% of the time, if a movie or a special TV episode has like a pro-environmental message, it's very predictable, cheesy, corny, a little over the top, and kind of preachy. It's not too bad in Avatar in terms of story, but it's also very obvious and predictable. Do you know what the name of the resource they're trying to get from Pandora? It's called unobtainium. That's right, it's called unobtainium. Who signed off on that name? Seriously, who signed off? And you could argue there's a bit of like a white savior cliche in terms of the movie's main character, Jake Sully, being a white Caucasian male using the avatar of a Navi species body. to side with Navi and help lead them in a charge against the invading people who want to take the resource and destroy their home. Yeah, you can make that argument. So, and some of the characters are kind of cartoony and two-dimensional. Some of them are still okay. Like Sigourney Weaver's character, she's pretty good, and actually Jake Sully is kind of like a two-dimensional character at first, and his transition into joining Navi seems slightly rushed, but it is still a movie. It's not like a TV show where you can like pace it out longer. And there's also certain characters like Stephen Lane, who is cartoony, a little over the top. But when it comes to Stephen Lane, I'm okay with it because it's Stephen fucking Lane. He's awesome. So in terms of that story and some of the characters presented in this film, it really hasn't had much of an impact. Now the visuals, world building, creatures and stuff, that's definitely had an impact. This movie became the first movie to make $2 billion at the box office. And it stayed there until Avengers Endgame took it down last year. So, overall, how do I feel about this movie? Positives and negatives all taken into account. I enjoyed it. I have my criticisms of it. I have some issues with it. And I am actually really glad that Avengers Endgame finally dethroned Avatar as the highest grossing movie. But I enjoyed it. There was a lot to look at. It's still a big film that felt justified to actually see as a movie. It might be slightly conflicted, but overall I enjoyed it. Do I think it's one of the best movies ever? No, but it is a marvel to look at, pun intended. Now they are making not one, not two, not three, but four sequels to this movie. Four sequels, over a decade since the first one was released. Do we really need four more movies of this, though? I mean, I suppose they could be given a chance to help give some more dimension and character depth to some of the more antagonistic characters, as well as like try to actually put some more weight into like what exactly the human species is going through and why they're trying to get these resources. These movies could try to actually make the stuff that was weak in the first film better. And I guess it will be nice to see some of the visuals and some new technology being used again because it has been over a decade since the first one was released, and a bunch of new technology has been utilized and started to be used in a lot of different films since then. So I guess from that side, it could be interesting, and it does have the chance to actually build something good from some of the weaker stuff of the first film. All in all, this movie, love it, hate it, somewhere in between. Even today, it's probably still worth trying to get a good look at. And you don't have to get the DVD version either. You can watch it on Disney Plus right now, although probably you're only going to get the original theatrical version. But hey, it's still worth the look, I'd say. So, this probably went on a little longer than I intended, but just want to put everything out there. So, comment down below your thoughts about Avatar. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time.